Welcome, Illumineers and fans of the happiest card game on earth. My name's John T, and you're in the Inkwell. And this is Spicy or Trash. This is our irreverent take on the set review. Over the next 6 days, we're going to be taking a deep dive into each colour of ink in the first chapter of Disney's Lorcana. And we're going to be telling you which cards are playable and which cards fit better in a binder. In each episode, I'm going to be joined by a fellow content creator and friend, and it's going to be my job to get them to shoot from the hip, tell us how they really feel about the cards in this game. There's no room for nuance. They have 4 options. Each card can either be spicy, solid, mid, or trash. Let's see how they get on. Today, it's all about Sapphire, perhaps the sleeper hit of the game. I got Jacob from Ready, Set, Draw, a self-proclaimed Ruby fanboy, to help me out. Spoiler alert, I think we might have a convert. Jacob from Ready, Set, Draw, thank you so much for joining us. You have Sapphire. Remind me, did you pick Sapphire or was it thrust upon you?
It was thrust upon me, but I am more than willing to take it because its stock is rising every single day.
It's the sleeper hit, I think. I genuinely do think it's the sleeper color. What is it about the color that really sort of speaks to you?
So I love ramp because I want to get the big splashy plays, and that's the most effective way to do it. Mm-hmm. I also love the aspect of like playing Magic for a while. I would get used to like playing artifact strategies that could go in any deck, but you know, there's no generic color in Lorcana, but there is items that have the similar kind of play style of like they're not affected by board wipes as much. Yeah, they require specific removal. So I love the flexibility of it.
Yeah, I think items are going to be very strong. Even though we have a handful of item disruption in the game, I don't, even though items are good, I don't see it seeing much play because I don't think people are going to see the value in running something just to get rid of an item. So exactly. I genuinely think Sapphire Item Slingers is like top tier deck, and a lot of it is in here. So we'll dive straight in. In fact, we start off with probably one of the pillars of that deck, which is a forecasted uninkable 3/3 for 1 aerial Who's It collector. Look at this stuff. Whenever you play an item, you may ready this character. What do we think of this?
This is a build around for sure. I think this was the first card to come out that a lot of people were like, "Oh, I can deck build in this game."
Yeah,
it's the first one.
I genuinely agree. This was the first one that came down that made a lot of people go, "Oh my god, I can break this." You know, like it's spicy, right? We're saying this one's spicy.
It's very spicy. It's spicy.
Straight off the bat, spicy. I think this might be the first one we've had. Because obviously we're doing these just alphabetical, so it's complete luck of the draw in that regard. So I think that might be the first off the bat spicy we've had. But yeah, she's just great. Like it does what you want it to do. Items is just great fun. Yeah, and you're right. I think the first one we actually saw that wasn't just a card that does a thing. This was a card that really matters about what the rest of your deck is doing. So,
spicy.
Really good. Forecasted inkable 2/5 for 1 in Aurora Briar Rose. When you play this character, chosen character gets -2 strength for the turn.
This is one of those things that I feel like the cost of the card really holds it back. If they were to understat it a little bit, I mean, I prefer Maximus, the exact same effect.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I would say this is mid, just because this is something that I'm not excited to play unless there was some Aurora that was way higher that ends up being shiftable, and then there's like something that can kind of bridge the gap.
Yeah, because at the minute she's only one off the shifted Aurora, right? So she's not even really a shift target at this point.
Purely for the on-play effect. Question for 1 is rough in Sapphire. So
yeah, I think that probably would have done it. Just a second law there, honestly, because like you say, otherwise you've got Maximus is a 3-costed 3/3, right? That does the exact same thing. So yeah, mid, I completely agree. 5-costed inkable 3/5 for 2 Aurora Dreaming Guardian. She's Floodborn, so she's shift 3, and she has Protective Embrace. Your other characters gain ward.
This is the spice of the spice.
Super
this is the
spice.
thing. This is an enabler card for sure. This is the card that lets you get away with greed.
Yeah,
this is it.
I just finished with Sneaky Buffalo, and we had Amethyst, and we talked a lot about ward in that. One of the least printed keywords, I think, ward, and there's a reason why. I think if it was on more, it would be way too strong. Yeah, she's the only thing that gives other stuff it, I think, right?
Yeah. This is the only one that grants it, but I will say that I believe they were a little more wary with printing ward straight up on a lot of other things, just because they knew there was a blanket ward granter in her. I would imagine this was early on in the development process.
But I think it's really well goes. It's. I feel like it's more of a support card for another color. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, but still super spice. Two out of 3 spice is insane. 2 costed, Inkable 2/2 for 2 lore Aurora Regal Princess.
This is a solid card in my opinion because it is a perfect target for a Shift 3 Dreaming Guardian. This is 2 lore at 2. You definitely don't want to quest with it like without some major protection. It has a huge target on its back, but you can't. It was one of the first cards with 2 lore at the 2 cost spot. I respect it. It does at least do a little damage to other 2 cost cards if they want to slap it in, but this is, I would say, solid.
I think it's solid as well. The stats are all great. The problem is you don't use any of them because she purely is there to shift the Dreaming Guardian onto the next turn, right? But even still, you haven't got the Dreaming Guardian in your hand. What are you going to do? So yeah, just 2 lore is just solid on a 2.
She's a princess too. That's relevant just for generic readying. It's
beautiful. 3 costed. Inkable 2/3 for 2 lore. Belle, Inventive Engineer. When this character quests, you can pay 1 less for the next item you play.
I'm gonna say mid.
Okay.
Just because my opinion is her effect is not worth, like, you want a quest, I get it, but the effect of paying 1 less, like it feels like a lot of the lower cost items she has to survive for turn 4 for sure, and a lot of the time she's a target for removal that I've seen
because of
so
that.
She gets picked off. But getting 1 less ink every time you quest, there's not a ton of items that I've seen thus far that are going to be really, really worth that discount that early in the game. But I could see holding on to her, and I've yet to really test her out with like having a critical mass of her.
Yeah, I think she's become a little outplayed with other item synergies we've seen. I remember early on, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh wow, this is going to be really good." But yeah, I think she's been a little bit overpowered by other stuff. One of which is the next one, 4 costed, Inkable 2 for. Is Sapphire the best color?
Man, I am a Ruby fanboy, but the way they held, it's like they're a fireworks show. You know, you're just tossing out, and then they were the only inked color to really get a finale. Everything came out in like within a week. But go ahead with
this.
Belle.
This is the big finish. The 4 costed Inkable 2/4 for 1. Belle, strange but special. During your turn, you can put an additional card from your hand into your Inkwell. And my favorite part, while you have 10 or more cards in your Inkwell, this character gains 4 lore.
Oh my gosh!
Should be
I really hung. I hung my hat on Ruby because I had the highest lore total in a character. I was like, no matter what, no one's beating 4 lore.
Yeah,
nobody.
It doesn't fit on the card, right? 5 lore. You couldn't squeeze 5 lore in.
And then this strange but special girl came out, and we are witnessing a ramp era that we've never seen before. This is it's ramp and payoff all in one card.
And that's the big thing for me is not only is it a good finisher, it helps you get there, right? Like the card says it would be really great if you do this, and here's how you do it as well. Like it doesn't happen very often, that honestly in any game I can think of. Really, normally you need at least a couple of cards to get the engine cooking. You know, she's an engine on her own. It's insane. Spiciest of spices, I think. Spicy.
Cayenne pepper.
7 costed Inkable 3/6 for 3 lore. Chief Tui with support.
I really like this card. I actually think this is a solid play. I don't think every single Sapphire combination is going to have really, really valuable top end targets. I know ink colors like Emerald and Ruby and some steel decks could have decent top end, but I think whenever you pair with Amber or you pair with Amethyst, I think this is a very valuable top end if you want a ramp strategy in those combos.
Yeah, that's 7 the thing, really. Ramp is as good as what you're ramping to, right? So this is not, if you've got no ramp in your deck, this is probably terrible. But if you could get this out on 4 or even 5, you're probably having a good time with it, right? And support's nothing to be sniffed at either. I think support is a bit of a sleeper, sleeper hit as well, honestly.
Yeah, I worry with this card a little bit that by the time you actually are throwing out these 7-costed threats, he doesn't have any sort of way to like quest immediately, so he's going to have the next turn that he gets to actually utilize his baked-in support. And I worry that at that point in the game, most of the things that you would want to give support to are gone. So he really gains value whenever you're like top decking a low-costed thing and you really need to beef it up in a trade. So I would call this... I'm gonna go with mid to be safe. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, yeah, probably he's on there, isn't he? I think. Spencer was saying mid plus for some of them, and like, I'm not a huge fan of my guests just correcting my my scientific scale that we have here. But if we need to, occasionally a card can sit in mid plus, and I think maybe this one does. 2-costed inkable item. Coconut basket. Consider the coconut whenever you play a character. You may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character.
This is one of those cards I know whenever I first started testing the game first got revealed, I thought this was the absolute. I thought it was literally cocoa nuts.
Yeah, it was. You can go back and watch old videos of mine. I will stand by it. I was like, this is broken. This is so strong.
Yeah, I think the difference is you don't have a lot of there aren't a lot of characters in the game right now that are low strength, high willpower at low cost. You got stuff like Drab Little Crab that would really benefit from something like this. But when most of your 2-cost, 3-cost slots are 2 3s, 2 2s, you're never getting to fully utilize this heal. Yeah. And if you're not really playing enough characters at one time to get the procs off. So that's the problem. I'm going mid on coconut baskets.
I think healing in general doesn't seem as strong in this game as it does in others, which is weird because the damage hangs around, so you'd think it would. But stuff either dies or it doesn't. I find more often than not. Really, it's very rare that stuff is. Stuff is sitting back with damage on it because you've played offensively. Nobody's swinging into your stuff and not killing it. You know?
And in Sapphire, I think that's the problem. Like if this was an Amber or Steel, it would be crazy good. But in Sapphire, your general strategy is to quest with protection from the other color. Yeah, and you're not really engaging in that challenge if you can help it.
Yeah. 1-costed inkable action. Develop your brain. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one of them in your hand and the other to the bottom.
I'm saying solid on this card, just because a lot of this early developing meta situation we have is about finding your key piece. And within the limited tools we have, Develop Your Brain is a solid digging card.
It's one of them, right? I mean, who knew in card games seeing more of your deck than your opponents have seen of theirs is good, right? Like, I think it's not flashy. But it does the job, right? It just lets you go down.
Yeah,
lovely. 5-costed inkable 4/3 for 2. Donald Duck straight in his stuff. He has Ward.
I haven't tested this card nearly enough to warrant a professional opinion, but I do think that anything with stapled on Ward is worth respecting. A 4 strength is definitely something that you have to think twice before you slam into it. You're definitely going to lose whatever it is if it's below curve, and if it's not, then you're really happy they're challenging into it. 2 lore means you're getting value, so I'm gonna say solid minus if I'm allowed to do that break point.
I think he's a bit of a sleeper hit, honestly. I think the problem with him was he was revealed at the tail end of quite a big load of reveals, if I remember rightly, and it wasn't the sort of flashiest of them. I actually think he's not a terrible mid-range in Sapphire, honestly. Yeah.
I feel like the hard thing that Donald has to overcome is the 5 and 6 cost range of cards is loaded among all of the inks. So Donald may be solid, but he's competing with all-stars.
Yeah, this is fair. The opportunity cost of putting him into your deck over something else is probably what keeps him away from the table much. But as just singularly as a card, I actually don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are saying he is, honestly.
Lovely.
4-costed inkable item, Eye of the Fates. You can see the future. Exert it. Chosen character gets +1 lore for the turn.
I'm going to say this card is solid. I would almost say spicy, but I worry with the 4 cost that there may be a little bit of it really reads as like you're gonna get, I don't know, by the middle of the game when you can afford to do this, you're gonna get like 2 extra lore for the game out of this card. But in an item deck where maybe you could get reduced cost.
Mm-hmm. With
a Maurice situation where you're planning for the late game and you're going to have maybe that 8 to 9 ink flexible position, 10 ink maybe with a Belle. This card can stick even when there's a board wipe, and I've kind of said, like, if they be prepared, then all of your Eye of the Fates are still there.
Yeah.
So when you play that Grandma Tala out and you have 2 or 3 Eye of the Fates out, she's going to be a brave little tailor.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
So
it can be that it can be that much, right? If you get a few of them out. I mean, obviously this is super strong in a Who's It Collector package, but then pretty much any item is much stronger in that package. But but like you say, if this was a 3-drop, I'd go spicy.
It'd be nuts.
Yeah, like it's just that 4 is just pushing it past the point of where you want it to be. I think if this was 3 and you could play this and another item on the term area that you've got Who's It Collector being able to quest, it would be insane. Whereas chances are you're probably not going to be able to at the 4-drop cost, unfortunately. Lovely. 3-costed inkable item, Fishbone Quill. Go ahead and sign. You can exert it to put any card from your hand into your inkwell face down.
This is one of my favorite Sapphire cards. I don't like. I want to rate it spicy, just because this card allows for higher uninkable cost greed in your deck.
Yeah.
You may have to mulligan a little harder for it just to ensure you have it by turn 3, but realistically, you'll see between 10 and 11 cards in Sapphire by that turn.
Yeah.
So the scary part is if you bump your uninkable count to like 20 to 25, you don't see Fishbone Quill, and then you get super punished.
It's all or nothing, right?
But if you can land a Fishbone Quill, it basically means you could get away with playing like every single uninkable card you could ever wish for, which I'm a huge fan of playing greedy and playing splashy, but I just love the fact that this is in the game too, and it makes it where you don't have to reveal. Like, let's say you have this out and you just want to ink 1 card for the turn.
Yeah.
Instead of revealing like my Mickey Brave Little Tailor going into the inkwell or Aladdin Heroic Outlaw going into the inkwell, you can just Fishbone Quill, put it down, and you don't have to reveal it.
I didn't even think of that, honestly. Like, I totally read this card as a ink and uninkable card, but you're right. Even just that little bonus of not having to show them is probably value. I didn't even think of that.
Sweet.
Yeah, it is. You know, I agree. I 100% you can say this is spicy. For all the reasons you said. I don't know whether for me personally it means I can just really up my inkwell uninkable count to silly numbers.
Yeah, that's greedy.
For me personally, it's just that Sapphire, without this card, you don't want to play many uninkables at all in Sapphire. This card fixes that at least. 20 something? I don't know.
I'm testing. A
1-costed inkable 2/2 for 1 Flounder.
If it were, I mean, there literally is this card in every other color, and I feel like in decks that want to contest early, Sapphire may be one of those colors, but I do not like this stat line. I used to. I'm putting Flounder, much to Citizens of Lorcana's chagrin, I'm putting Flounder in the trash.
Wow.
Because I do not respect a 2/2 nearly as much as I did before Grab Your Sword.
Yeah.
Fire the Cannons was enough for me to be worried about it.
Yeah.
I massively preferred the Minnie Mouse Olaf stat line
the
for
1/3.
1-drops.
Yeah. It's, well, you're the first to put one of this cycle in the trash.
I am.
And also, none of you know this yet. Every time we call out trash, mid, solid, spicy, there's like an image that comes on the screen. The image for mid is Flounder.
The image for mid,
because we had him just as like he's the vanillest of vanillas, right? But I personally think you're probably right. This stat line is not great. In a couple of different colors, it matters more. I think that the Stitch Rockstar maybe sits a little higher on the list. You could argue the Amethyst one does as well for similar kind of reasons. But yeah, there's other things you want to be doing with your first lore, I think.
I would say with Sapphire in particular, one of the things that holds the stat line back and why a 1/3 maybe wasn't printed in this color is because this color is the one with baked in support, where you would have more survivable early games with, if like a Scepter of Arendelle out, given this supporting 3, having the extra willpower is more valuable in Sapphire, I think. Yeah,
that makes perfect sense, yeah. Wow, Flounder in the trash. We
Sorry, Jared.
I cry a single tear. A 2-costed inkable 1/1 for 1 lore, Grandma Tala. I'll be with you when this character is banished. You may put the card in your inkwell, face down, and exert it.
I love this card. If they would have made this uninkable, I would have cried and then just complained for days. But the fact that they were brave enough to put this as an inkable slot, I love this because it happens no matter what. They weren't even scared enough to put it on like when it's challenged and banished. Oh my gosh. This is perfect. It's perfect flavor. It's perfect effect. It's inkable whenever you don't want to when you don't want to have to wait and you just need the ink now.
You just need the ink.
It lets you do your win condition, and if you're willing to wait a turn or two, you can suicide it in and let it just become an ink itself. It's like the perfect support target because it wants to get banished anyways.
It wants to get killed, doesn't it?
This is a chef's kiss spicy card to me.
Super spicy. I haven't seen a Sapphire deck that shouldn't run a playset of this. Like it just goes in anything. It's great. It's really great.
Spicy.
7 costed, uninkable, 3/6 for 2. Hades Infernal Schema. Is there a downside to this? When you play this character, you may put a chosen opposing character into their player's inkwell face down.
There is a downside to this, and it's uninkable.
It's uninkable, and it's giving them ramp.
Yeah, that's the downside. I think a lot of people, rightfully so, it is literally the let it go effect. But the problem I have is with let it go, you have a huge benefit of it being a song.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't always want to pay 5 ink to put something in their inkwell.
No.
The fact that it's free is what makes the card so playable.
Yeah.
The fact that that effect is stapled onto a 2 lore body, that's relevant. But I would not dare put this above solid.
No.
I think a lot of people are kind of just getting boggled by the legendary status.
I think so. I could even push this to mid, honestly. Like I really could. I could. Like the uninkable 7. It's just too much. Just too high. The ability is fine. Like anything that happens on the ETB is pretty good. I feel.
Yeah.
Stronger in this game than others that have instant interaction. You know, like if something has an ETB in this game, it's happening. As it stands, right? And that there's something to be said about that. But yeah, great art, but I was hoping for more from Hades, to be honest. 3 costed, uninkable action. If it's not broke, return an item card from your discard to your hand.
Do you have a trash bin nearby? Because I'm ready to toss it in.
There. Even in an item deck, I don't like. It doesn't seem
uninkable.
Yeah,
they are so scared
to
give item recursion.
Yeah,
at
anything
an effective
recursion,
cost.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, any type of recursion. I can't think of a recursion effect in the game that isn't on an uninkable card.
It's Tamatoa, but that's also stapled onto a condition at 8 cost. So it's ridiculous. And even then, I'm surprised they didn't make him uninkable. So this effect is good, but it scales with the good items you get. If Amethyst one day gets like a super crazy good item, maybe it's worth throwing this in. But
at the minute, I'd rather play another item in this slot.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not playing this over Fishbone Quill.
I think if you are playing any items that are anywhere near the price range of this, if it's not Baroque, and you're not playing a full playset of them, I think you cut if it's not Baroque and just play more of those items.
Yeah, just play more of the items. Yeah,
or play more card draw or something.
Yeah. Until we start seeing stuff, until we start seeing like a legendary effect where you can only have single copies of stuff out, just play more of the items. You can just spam items out, right? 3 costed, inkable, 3/3 for 2 with Jasmine, vanilla.
This is mid.
Yeah.
As mid as it gets.
Yeah. Okay. To be honest, we found that it takes a lot to push a vanilla into trash or solid, really. Like the mid is pretty much where they all live, apart from poor Flounder. 5 costed, inkable, 2/5 for 2. Jasmine, Queen of Agrabah. She's Bloodborne, so she has shift 3, and Caretaker. Whenever you play this character and whenever she quests, you may remove up to 2 damage from each of your characters.
I would personally go solid with Jasmine, just because the shifting ability, it's not like you're going to shift her on turn 3. You're going to shift her on turn 4.
Yeah.
But even on turn 4, it is likely that you'll have the chance to maybe play a little aggressively, maybe send your Jasmine in on a challenge or something, would knock something out that's a 2/3, and then have the ability to shift and heal up herself included in the trade.
It's everything, right?
Yeah, then she's a 2/5. Even if you have anything that's capable of trading, especially on turn 4, she will immediately heal, and she's a 2/5 body that's respectable. So on a princess build, 2 lore is nothing to laugh at. I think they were a little safe with her strength. I think she could have been a 3/5, given that Aurora's a 3/5.
I think she could have been a 3/5. Yeah. Is there other Jasmines? Or is it just these two?
It's just the disguised.
Yeah, so it's she's not.
Well, that'll change, but still.
Just as it stands, she's not the right shift target, is she? I was thinking, is there a 2-drop in another color that I can't remember? But yeah.
Yeah, I do think Jasmine allows, because for some reason she awkwardly kept the princess tag even though she's a queen. I think she does allow for like a little bit more aggression where it didn't exist with the Moana builds.
Yeah.
Where after you quest, you can't quest again, but everyone's hesitant to challenge because there's no like on-demand healing without playing more cards.
Yeah.
And she allows to say, I'm going to wait with Jasmine and I can maybe challenge. That really wouldn't work. But you could double challenge though.
Yeah, because she can't.
Given the fact that you can ready with her,
right? But yeah,
that's rough.
Maybe she doesn't work there. It's a bit of a combo, really.
Now I'm arguing myself down to mid.
Let's do it. Let's pull that solid off.
All right,
throw mid on it.
Pull the solid off. It's a mid.
5-casted inkable action song. Let it go. Put chosen character in their player's inkwell face down and exert it.
Because this is a song, I have to say spice.
I think she. Yeah,
I have to say
absolutely
spice.
think it's spicy. Just solid removal. About as hard removal as you're gonna get outside of Ruby, I think. Yeah,
it gets around a lot of things that care about being banished. Like it's one of the ways to get around the Musketeer's Tabard in Bodyguard against Bodyguard decks. That was very relevant.
Gets over a lot of Emerald stuff that wants to be banished as well. So yeah,
this effect on a song is spicy for sure.
100%.
Spicy.
1-costed inkable item, Magic Golden Flower. Healing Pollen. Banish this item. Remove up to 3 damage from chosen character.
The best part about this is 1 cost. And it banishes itself.
Yeah.
Because combined with Tamatoa, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, this is like a relatively cost-efficient way to replay items. If you can use it and then recur it back with Tamatoa's quest and then play it again on the same turn to get aerial shenanigans going on. It's purely a utility within a shell and a package. But on its own standalone, this is trash.
I think it is trash. Yeah, I think, like you say, in the Tamatoa aerial deck, it's mid. But it would be mid if it was a 1-costed item that said nothing, right? Like, just the healing just doesn't add anything to it. I don't think, really. But yeah, on its own, with no context, which is what we're doing, this is trash. Now we get into the Sapphire half of the Maleficent's 4-costed inkable 3/4 for 2 with Maleficent's Sinister Visitor.
This used to be a staple index for me. Used to be. Keyword there. Now I would say it is very mid.
Yeah.
Because that 4-cost slot's pretty competitive.
Yes,
across the board.
Yeah, it's just been outpaced a little, really, but
yep.
Yeah.
This next one though.
5-costed inkable 3/6 for 3 lore, Maleficent Uninvited.
This is a beautiful card.
Yeah.
I think this is a solid vanilla card. You want to reach for this and get this on turn 5. Technically, if you're ramping on turn 3, if possible, and really start clocking, because it is. It is good.
Could you bring yourself to saying that a vanilla is spicy?
Okay.
There's been another.
If there was one,
there's been one other, and I'll tell you what it is afterwards if you like. There has been one other vanilla ranked as spicy.
Let me think. We're comparing here. I feel like this is a situation where if I do bump it to spicy, I devalue the spicy a little bit, just because I can say that this is like very good, but I think pushing this into spicy makes it where like the Bells of the world have to be the ghost pepper tier.
Yeah.
You know?
Then we're getting into Scoville ratings of all the cards, right?
And then we might as well just use a number rating. But I think I'm sticking with solid, just because solid. I can definitely, I want to put it in my deck, but I'm not building around.
She's as good as a vanilla can be, and I've argued this with a lot of people. It's why I feel like we need another term, because because a vanilla is not a vanilla in this game, right? Like,
Yeah.
I will argue, I've said this multiple times, and I will die on this hill. There are no vanillas in Lorcana because every card says exert this card, game X number of lore, right? It hasn't got it written on it, but it is
this
an
closer
ability.
to the win.
It is an ability that the cards have. If this was printed in any other game, it would say tap, exert, whatever, do this.
I think a vanilla in this game would be if it was like a Gaston without Reckless.
Yeah, which would be
that's
unplayable.
pretty much, yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that you're spot on with that. Okay.
6 costed Inkable 2/7 for 2 with Maurice, world famous inventor. He has the ability to give it a try. Whenever this character quests, you can pay 2 less for the next item, and it works. Whenever you play an item, you may draw a card.
Maurice got straight up buffed up over the past week. This man was the victim of all the internet bullies on like saying that items couldn't work out because he was having to take the brunt of it alone. Then a big shiny crab showed up and was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make it happen." I feel like. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he was shown really early, and then everything else you want to play in that deck was shown like last week, right? And I think we do have to remember that Maurice is a 4 of in the item decks. Like he's a bit old news, but he's still I think he's spicy.
Yeah, I fully believe he's spicy.
Yeah.
Just because back in the day, he was your win condition.
Yeah.
But the problem is he doesn't have the win condition stapled on him because all he's doing is questing once per turn. He just has the lovely words "draw a card" on him.
Yes,
which is
very nice.
Which a lot of TCG players interpret as "I'm gonna win. I'm gonna draw cards." So it now that he has legitimate buddies to be win conditions in the deck, his effect is so valuable.
The only thing that makes me sort of hover on spicy is that there is a deck he goes in. I think
that's true.
Yeah, and like
that is true.
Outside of that, I don't think he sees that much play.
Okay,
but in that deck, he's pretty freaking good.
I could be argued solid plus then.
Yeah, we'll go solid plus. We've gone from 4 rankings to about 8 now in this one. 4 costed Inkable 3/4 for 1. Merlin, self-appointed mentor. He has support.
This is a solid card. It is definitely the better version of the Maleficent Sinister Visitor.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I will sacrifice the one lore
as long
as I can still get the guaranteed quest and get the chance to remove something at the same time. Support is a very valuable keyword, and I love the fact that by turn 4, when you play him, turn 5 that you're questing with him, you are fully ready to utilize that support.
That 3,
it's the point in time where you're ready to start challenging on the board.
Yeah,
so I like it. It's a solid card.
There's going to be people there with like 6 willpower stuff that they feel is safe. That something else is going to trade right up into, right?
Lovely.
3 costed uninkable 1/3 for 1 Mickey Mouse Detective. He has get a clue. When you play his character, you may put a top card into the inkwell.
I feel like early on when it was just this card and 1 jump ahead in the ramp pool, Mickey felt pretty bad to play because you didn't have enough ramp to guarantee you could get to those splashy stuff. But now that we have more ramp to help out, I feel like the fact that he's a body and now that we have more support in the color, I feel like you can make more use of that body. Mickey's a solid card.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he's got a bit better. I think the ramp package in general is a bit of a sort of greater than the sum of its parts, you know? Like Grammatala is incredible on her own, but I think Grammatala, 1 jump ahead, Grammatala on turn 2, next turn singing 1 jump ahead and playing Mickey Mouse Detective.
Absolutely. That's great.
It doesn't get better than that, does it? You know?
No.
Like it's like the God hand, but
it's
still.
The dream.
Yeah, like it doesn't get better, and Mickey Mouse completely fits into that. So I very much agree with a good solid there. 6 costed Inkable 4/6 for 3. Mufasa, King of the Pride Lands.
The 6 cost slot is so competitive in so many colors.
Yeah.
Maybe in Ruby it is a little more lacking. But in Sapphire, I mean, you're looking at like great things that happen in this range of the game, and I would be feeling like I'm missing something if I was putting Mufasa in the deck and really wanting this to be the payoff that I was reaching to.
I think so as well. I think if we ever see any kind of limited format He's probably pretty good in that. Like, if you're building out a ramp package in draft, you'll take this guy because it gives you something to hit. But otherwise, I don't think so.
I'm thinking mid for him.
Mid, okay. 2-costed, uninkable action song, 1 jump ahead. Put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exert it.
So I love the effect of it. I love the art. It's a cool card. But I'm more and more thinking this is a mid card in the ramp package just because while it offers the chance to be a song, I've always said that songs gain value the more their cost increases. So you're really only saving 2 ink by playing this as a song. You're also probably making a 2-cost card pretty vulnerable to removal when you do that. Now, if it's with Grandma Tala, that's a whole different story,
right? Yeah.
But with this card in particular, I would say this is the worst of the ramp cards, given the fact that it's a one and done, and it is literally useless in a top deck scenario.
Yes.
So this is probably the worst card. I think I see this card the most actually on turn 11 when I'm begging for a Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. This is the card I draw, and then I end up playing it out of spite and then inking the Maleficent Dragon. But this is a mid card, but it is a necessary card in a very specific deck.
And I think if nothing else, it gives us a baseline of what this ability costs, right? Like it tells us what the game considers a 1 card extra per turn in the inkwell is worth.
If this was an action, if this was an action that wasn't a song, I could see it being an uninkable 1-cost thing.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, I think the song is probably doing too much work there to it, really. 2-costed inkable, 3/1 for 1. Felicities. He has support.
Ooh, this is tough. You're usually skipping like playing a character. If you're not doing a ramp deck, I can see this actually being pretty valuable. I have a hard time pinning this character down though, as far as the usefulness. It's awkward.
I think he goes in a Bodyguard deck, but Sapphire isn't the Bodyguard colors. Like that's a sort of steel amber thing. I think. Like on very thematically, he goes very well with Hercules. I think just quest behind Herc and makes Herc a 6/3.
Yeah.
But
that's still having to use it's still having to use your Bodyguard offensively. Yeah. And then it will probably end up crashing in and getting banished. But I don't think it's irrelevant that this kind of plays essentially like a vicious betrayal that you have to wait for. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like if vicious betrayal gave you 1 lore and you had to wait for it to go off, it's a little awkward. I'm gonna say this is a trash card. I think you're right. It is trash. I don't know how I would fix. My fix in my head makes it way too strong, and that would be, like keeping it similar and keeping what it wants to do. It would be when this card is exerted, chosen Bodyguard gets +3. Yeah, or something like that. I think that's what it would have to be. So you do get the benefit of the Bodyguard on the defense. Yeah. But it's not great. Never mind. Into the trash. The only reason I want to try and fix it is a good friend of mine is a big fan of Phil. And every time he comes into the store or we go for a drink or whatever, he's like, "Is there a Phil card in that Disney game yet?" I thought you were gonna say he's a big fan of Danny DeVito. Well, who isn't? Yeah, but yeah, like every time he's like, "Is there a Phil card in that Disney game yet?" And this would be really funny to play. This would be really funny to play with the plasma blaster, because then you could literally embody the meme of, anyways, I started blasting. Yeah, that'd be so good. Oh, I need a proxy of that. 6-costed inkable 4/4 for 2. Robin Hood, Unrivaled Archer. He has the ability Feed the Poor. Whenever you play this character, if an opponent has more cards than you in your hand, you get to draw a card, and then Good Shot during your turn, the character gains evasive. This guy's solid. He is solid. This effect is necessary within the colors, unless you're pairing with an iffy Emerald strategy or a Ruby pairing with evasives, which it's an awkward deck. Most Sapphire cards are not going to host an evasive counter, and not only is he in a good evasive counter, if you're low on cards because you've been ramping the whole time, he's more than often going to replace himself. Yeah. So 4 is also a very relevant evasive number to hit. He clears anything that's evasive with the exception of Genie Powers Unleashed. So
yeah. And at that point, you've got other issues, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he can clear anything. He usually survives the trade too. So I would say Robin Hood, Question for 2, it's as solid as it gets.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that. Another one of them ones that I feel like we kind of not forget about, but it sort of drops down a little bit just because of how early we saw it. And actually, you need to kind of have a look at those early reveals and sort of reevaluate them with the full set in mind. And yeah, I think he does sort of go back up again, yeah. A very white card. If he was a magic card, he would be the whitest of all of them with that card draw, but only if
because you got to
doing
do
better.
Something.
Yeah,
I get to do something.
Yeah. Lovely. 6 costed, inkable, 5/4 for 2 in Scar Mastermind. Insidious plot: when you play his character, something else gets -5 strength for the turn.
This is exactly the same problem that a lot of the vanilla cards get, and it's that they're competing with other cards in their cost range.
Yeah.
And I don't think people fully appreciate how valuable -5 strength can be. It essentially means that it is a free trade.
It's pretty much
whenever
you get
a
free challenge, right?
Yeah. However, in Sapphire, like I said, if you're challenging with your Sapphire characters, unless they're specifically designed to do it, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And typically, it's like you would need Scar at the perfect moment.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't like about Scar is that it's a great ability, but you've got to have something else on the board that's able to challenge into something else that it's worth giving -5 to, right? Like it's not the most niche situation on turn 6, or if you ramped a little turn 4/5, but it's still if you've got that, you're so happy to see him. But a lot of the time, I find, because he's in the starter decks, and a lot of the time I find him in the starter decks, I'm like, well, I could hold him and see if anything happens next turn.
Yeah.
I can hold him and see if anything happens next turn.
In a constructed situation, he's almost always ink. And when he's not, he's usually a insidious plot. Okay, that'll lose 5 strength. Your turn.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, so, yeah. That unexerted character there gets -5.
You just need a body, and he's the only one you got. That's what you got. So
100%.
I'd say
I've genuinely
mid,
done that in the
maybe
starters.
trash actually.
Yeah. Should we go trash? We haven't had a trash for a while.
Yeah, I'd say trash.
Okay, we'll go trash. 1 costed inkable item, the Scepter of Arundel. Command, you can exert it to give something support. It's great.
I've sing the praises of Scepter of Arundel.
Yes.
This is one of, like, in Sapphire, you're lacking a lot of turn 1 plays, despite the Flounder believers. The turn 1 play in Sapphire of choice for me is develop your brain, just kind of get the filtering going.
Yeah.
But this right here, especially in items, but even in generic value decks that are just playing tempo, this is the turn 1 for me.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to interact with it easily, and if they are, in any sort of way, there's only the ability to deal with this that's overcosted. Like you're either going to pay 2 ink to get rid of it, or you're going to pay 4 and pay the extra, or 5 and get the extra effective beast.
Yeah.
But this effect is so good when you get to pick and choose.
Yeah.
It can make the
support on whatever you need it to be on is so good, because it's also so difficult, I think, even for an opponent to kind of math it out. Even just being able to look at your board with it there, it's still super difficult to be like, well, where could they put it and where are they going to get the best out of it? It's superb. Yeah. I would go... Is it the best item in the game?
I think so. Absolutely,
I think it is, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a case to be made for... what am I trying to think of? It's an amethyst item. Magic Mirror. I'm kidding. It's the best. I'm kidding. It's
in my
the best
face.
item.
It's in my face there. Wow.
Oh, I had to do that. But yeah, it is the best item in the deck, or in the game for sure. I think anything that makes your opponent expend mental effort,
has
a hidden cost, a hidden benefit.
It's why I'm personally a huge fan of Emerald, because it's all about that. It's all about making them have to worry about what you're doing and not what they're doing. And yeah, this is just another one that does that so well. 8 costed, inkable, 5/8 for 1 lore. Tamatoa, so shiny. He has the ability, whenever, what have we here? When you play this character and whenever he quests, you may return an item card from your discard to your hand, and Glam. The character gets +1 lore for each item you have in play.
This guy, so I definitely need to test it more, but I feel like he has to prove to me that he's solid rather than prove to me that he is worth the shiny that I want, or the spicy that I want to give him.
He can call him shiny. He can get a special shiny just for him if you like.
He is shiny. No, I think this effect is so good. Like it's kind of like the Belle where you can alter the lore. There is a threshold where you don't like it. Like if it's at 2, I think it's not worth. But if you have 2 items out, he quests for 3.
Yeah.
And at that point, you definitely want to quest.
Yeah.
And if you by the turn 8, like especially this is the reason, like I said, you play the magical golden flower. He's the reason you play that is for him, so you have something to grab in the case. I'm kind of trying out a steel sapphire item slinger setup.
Yeah.
So you can grab a frying pan back too. But because you have to have your own way of grabbing stuff back with him. That's what holds him back a little bit. Is there's not a bunch of item removal all over the game.
There's 3 cards,
warrant,
right?
Yeah.
There's Beast, Break, and technically the little thing that bounces
fuddle.
to. Yeah. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so if you're not playing steel, then you're going to have to put your own items in the discard.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that there's not a ton of item removal, so his effect is not as good as it could be. So for that reason, I'll probably give him a solid.
Yeah.
But I think he has every reason to go up to spicy when they introduce more item removal in the game, because he feeds the strategy.
Well, the other thing is as well is it might be a meta play that if this deck, which I feel like it will, I genuinely do feel like Item Slingers is going to be a top tier. If it is, you will see you will see those crap steel cards get play because people are going to feel like they have to deal with them, and then he gets even better then. So it's kind of like a secular thing really. But even still, like you say, questing for 2, 3, at that point in the game, anything that can challenge into him is stuff that they're probably going to want to be questing with anyway, right? Like,
yeah, because he has 5 strength too. He makes them really pay for it.
Yeah,
if they do. Like I just don't. This is literally a card that makes me. I know he's a super rare, and the next card we're going to discuss is an uncommon, but it is. The next card we're going to discuss, I'm even more puzzed by its design and like its choice of character, because I'm like, a crab has this effect. It's so good.
Talking of which, a 7-costed inkable 5/9 for 2 Triton the Sea King. Yeah, this is a mid card to me. I'm not going to pretend like it's trash. It's a mid vanilla, for lack of a better phrase. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend you, John. No, you're right. Like the point is, yes, there's not much else going on here, but like anything with those kind of numbers on it,
it's respectable.
It's going to see some sort of play, I think. Yeah.
I think a 5 strength threshold. If you're going to be a no ability card, 5 strength is a good number to hit, because you take out almost anything with decent abilities. Yeah. Because they usually don't give crazy stats to things with abilities. And
it's killing any of your like mid-range stuff that's doing you value on the board, right?
Yeah. So kind of like the same example. Like I would rather have this than Mufasa at 1 ink less. Yeah. I would rather have this because with 9 willpower, you are really going to soak up some hits, and you're going to demand that single target removal. Yeah. Or he's going to get value. That being said, I would still probably not put him in decks in favor of playing things with the Robin Hoods, the Tamatoas for those strategies.
I don't think there's anything actually sitting at 7, but yeah, just around there, right? The 6s and the 8 costs. So, Chief Tui is the only other 7.
Oh yeah,
you've got in Sapphire,
I would rather play Chief Tui than this.
Yeah,
personally.
I think I probably would actually. Just because it's giving you more options, right? Like this is just a dude that comes out and swings, and that's it. So. And the other thing that really disappoints me about him is he should have been a good card. I don't know if you saw. I've done a few parody videos on the channel. They were very early on, and we'll be doing some more once I've got cards. But one of them was it was part of your world, but it was why is Little Mermaid not a part of our game? And it was when we didn't have any Little Mermaid cards revealed, and I kind of threw up like what I guessed they could look like. And my Triton had like a cyclone effect. It was like when this character comes into play, everything else gets bounced back to the hand, right?
My gosh.
Because I was like, it's King of the Sea, right? Like he's gotta be badass, and he's just a big guy looking all gorgeous in his chair.
Yeah, he cycloned his ability away too. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, it's too good.
I would be willing to bet that because we got so many Little Mermaid cards in this set, I'd be willing to bet they probably pumped the brakes on Little Mermaid. But we could see by maybe like the third set, fourth set,
come back around again.
Come back around again, get a Triton worth playing.
Yeah.
And I would be shocked if it didn't lean into the singing aspect of things, just because he is usually an audience for his daughters to sing.
Yeah,
that's
it could be. But then
feature.
Also, isn't he like not a big fan of her singing?
Oh,
isn't that a thing? He's like, stop, having a brain on you.
It's been a minute.
Pretty. Like I think like he could also almost say like opponents' characters can't sing or something like that. But that would be Ursula as well. Ursula would do that well. But yeah, it's interesting design space anyway. We do have one more card, a one-costed inkable work together action. Chosen character gains support.
This is not for me.
You can say trash. It's okay. We're ending on a trash.
Yeah, sorry, this is trash. You can literally get this card repeatable, the exact same thing with Scepter of Arendelle. And even then, this is a one and done. Unless you have some kind of action payoff that we haven't seen yet, this is just strictly worse. And I don't think you want chosen support on a whole card that's a one-off.
No, I don't think so either. Like there's an Emerald action recursion package, but I don't think it sees play in that. I don't think even in a build that's just all about support, I don't think this sees play alongside Scepter of Arendelle. Like it's not good. There's a lot of these. Limited. Yeah, you'd maybe play it in limited. There's a lot of these where the same ability is on an action and an item, and almost exclusively the item is better for around the same cost. Like I just don't get these really. It's cards like this that make me think. Well, I don't know. There's a really great article by Mark Rosewater from like 20 years ago that talks about designing a TCG and how you have to design objectively bad cards so that everything else has a baseline to play off against. So we can sit here and say, oh, it might be for limited, or there might be a deck somewhere. But honestly, this might just be one of the bad ones. Sapphire is a bit of a sleeper. I didn't realize how many good ones we had there. Talking of which, out of all of the spicy cards we had today, which one would you say is the super spiciest?
The super spiciest. So it's hard. I know the crowd consensus will probably throw tomatoes at me if I don't say Belle Strange but Special, because she is such a house. But I just feel like Grammatala is the truth.
That's great. I love the fact that you've gone for a 2-drop uncommon as the spiciest card in the color.
It is so good. It's literally like whenever I made a tweet about it when she first got revealed, and I said like Fishbone, Quill, and Grammatala, and I was like, don't let anyone fool you today. These two cards are the cards you should be discussing. Don't sleep on them. And my friend on the channel, Alex, was like, Jacob, I don't think anybody's sleeping on Grammatala. Like everybody knows she's good. And so it's kind of given me a little more confidence to talk about her positively.
Obviously, the big flashy cards, get the attention, right? But yes, when it boils down to it, a lot of the time, just something that's going to see consistent play. And also, again, we're ranking all of this in this bubble of being able to scroll through a website of them. But in a few weeks' time, not enough of this product is going to go into people's hands. And most people are going to be playing with like Starter Deck Plus, right? The Starter Deck,
which has Grammatala
with the handful of packs that you get hold of or whatever with stuff in it. We can sit here all day and make deck techs on our channels that say, well, you're going to have 4 copies of Strange but Special and 4 copies of Tamatoa, but you're not probably, honestly, unless you're rich or incredibly lucky. So we have to look at things like Grammatala and give them the credit where it's due. Jacob, thank you so much for joining me here. Where can people find you, my friend?
They can find me on YouTube at Ready Set Draw TCG. We also have a Twitter at Ready Set Draw TCG. We're active on there all the time, and we have our podcast Ready Set Live is on Spotify as well. Just search Lorcana in Spotify's search, and you're sure to see our logo pop up on one of the first ones you see.
Fantastic. And all of those links will be down below as well. Thank you for joining us too. Make sure you do the like and the subscribe and all the YouTube stuff. Until the next one, be good.